What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
Does your book, film, resource, product, or business change people's lives for the better? Hi, I'm Jackie Lappin, founder of Conscious Media Relations, a unique boutique PR firm that helps you connect with your mind, body, spirit, and conscious lifestyle audience in a big way. We reach 3,500 specialty media and all the key mainstream outlets in the United States. I invite you to explore our radio media tour that connects to 2,600 personal growth radio shows. There is just nothing else like it. Come check out our website and read our rave reviews.
The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show, and I'm Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm joined with Krista Raisa, who is an accomplished psychic, medium, multidimensional channel, intuitive artist, spiritual teacher, and healer. Now, she is well known internationally thanks in a large part to her success as a YouTube sensation. Her YouTube channel has thousands of subscribers from across the globe. Now, she was raised in New York City and has lived and studied in Finland, and she currently resides in Sedona, Arizona. Krista Raisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It is fantastic to have you on. It really is really good to have you on. A fellow channeler, welcome. Okay. This is going to be interesting because I've had a chance to read your book, and I don't always get a chance to read guest books coming on here. And I found it really interesting as well on your backstory of how this started for you. Now, just to begin with, just take us back to 2007 when you were at college, and I believe you was in Finland. You sort of suffered as what's called a sort of a dark spot, you could say.
Yes. I would definitely say it was a dark 30 minutes where I was thinking, what is the purpose of life? I really hate the word suicidal because I don't think it's that. I've learned to call it a shamanic initiation or shamanic death, because the egoic self that we've learned to accept in this world is quite false in many ways. After a certain age, we're conditioned to be programmed into this obedient member of society, when in fact we are spirits that are not really confined to a structure of a personality. So along the hero's journey, there are different points. Some people wake up at different times. For me, I was in my early 20s in the middle of nowhere in Finland, going to this polytechnic studying biology and psychology. It was actually based on it was built on top of a graveyard. They had great food there, but it was kind of a creepy spot. I met a psychic woman there, heavy metal fan, and she introduced me to the psychic world. But that was just after I sort of had this inner breakdown, just crying in the shower. And I was saying, God, if there's a God, I don't understand why I'm here. And it was totally authentic. It was totally sad to watch if you had seen it. But shortly afterwards, my mom found this Abraham Hicks book, Ask and It Is Given. I found the Seth material by Jane Roberts, and then met this psychic, like I said, started seeing numbers on the clock, and a whole lot of other
Right, so you did actually get to read some of the Seth material. Very, very interesting. Great stuff, and so is the Abraham Hicks. But the Seth started it off for a lot of people, as you probably know. A lot of famous people in the spiritual circles. That's interesting. Okay, now let's move that forward then. When did the channeling start for you? Do you remember that time?
Yes, the actual physical trance channeling happened in 2011. So before that, it was writing little stories about fairy people, or pulling the same oracle card over and over and over, meeting like-minded people, mainly elders who are very well rehearsed in Edgar Cayce, so on and so on. But it happened with my mom in the parking lot at Whole Foods in New Jersey. The actual physical experience, it was just like that. It happened.
Isn't that interesting that, because you talk in your book as well, that some channels have experienced severe problems such as alcoholism and suicidal thoughts, that, you've always everything's got to crumble away for this to come through sometimes. And I've got to say, that's how it was for me, really. I went through, I lost everything, I felt like I did. And that's when it came through. So I can
I don't, some people's house burned down, some people held at gunpoint. I mean, similar things have happened, but that was all there. For me, I lost all my hair. I cut it all off. I was watching Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and I got really angry. We had a class in Finland on racism, and I was very, very fired up about it. So that was already that sort of anger at the world, and people get into conspiracy. That was kind of the setup and the prelude for that meltdown.
Yeah. But it still took a lot of courage for you to sort of stand up and become, do this publicly as well.
Sure. As soon as I started channeling, I had already been making YouTube videos, and I would start sweating profusely before every video. I still kind of do, but it's gotten easier over the years.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love your videos. I've seen the videos. I've seen some, not all. I mean, I've seen a few channelings and a few others, and they're really good. At least you're honest on there as well in your vlogs, and also with the channelings. I love the way when you do them outside. I think there's something really beautiful about that. And
people seem to like the scenery and the mountain background.
Yeah,
it's real.
Absolutely, no, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, just remind us, how did you go from Finland back to America? What was the connection there?
So I don't know if this was another meltdown, but I thought, hey, if I'm in college, I need to go experience another place. And it was pretty depressive living in the Karelian border of Finland. There's really no sunshine, so I figured everyone takes a gap year, as you call it. Why don't I take a gap year in Hawaii? There was a YouTube woman who recommended it to me in a psychic reading, and she actually pulled an oracle card that said I was a channeler. Very strange. So as I had made the decision to take a gap year in Hawaii, working on a farm,
Right.
I had a telepathic experience on the bus going to the airport. I heard in my head a message that I'm going to be initiated. I have to write this down. If I misuse this gift will be taken from me. I had no idea what they said. I perceived an image of a crane, which I later found Ted Andrews explained this is a symbol of the Galactic Federation. Anyways, very strange. There's this weird pressure on my head, which I later found was the Antakarana Rainbow Bridge, David Joshua Stone info. And 2 weeks later, hyperventilated in the car, and they said hello. Somebody said hello to my mom. So I'm still figuring out how that happens neurologically. It's quite a process. But it feels good.
Yeah. So obviously, your mum, is she based over in America? Is she?
Yes. So I had already flown to America with mom, and that's when it came through. Right. In between the transition to go to the farm. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, just tell me about your parents as well, because your mum obviously was very supportive of this work, and she helped you with the book. Tell me about Dad and Mum and the polar opposites, and how they've helped you, and your brother as well, because I'm sure he's been supportive.
So Dad is a chemistry physics teacher, high school. Mom is a teacher on and off. She's currently writing a book, ancient African history. So they're teachers. Naturally, I'll be a teacher as well. Only recently has Dad said, hey, I was the one to tell you about angels. But he's not too interested in UFOs or crop circles. I'm sure it might be quite scary. So I'll be there for him when they land in his living room. But with Mom, she's just very, very interested in them. She treats me with respect, and she asks them questions whenever she can. She doesn't want to bother me too much because she knows I'm working really hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, without those questions taking place, it's gonna be pretty difficult for you to ask the questions while in under that sort of lowered energy or the high vibrational state, shall I say? When you're receiving. So she asked some fantastic questions, which are all documented in the book, The Orion Council here. And you went self-published with the book as well.
Yes, pretty much had to. People aren't so open. I look like a teenager, and who knows what they think, but they've not been too receptive in the bookshop. So I found most of the people who understand this to be on the internet.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people in this field that have said that. People have said to me, people like Graham Hancock, I've heard say as well, the same thing that when they went to try to sell the books through mainstream media, nowadays they have all the success is through reaching the right audience, which is through the internet, which is just amazing.
It is, and it's also a little bit safer, I think. People are more likely to order on Amazon from their home and secretly read about their secret ancient aliens information rather than go to work and share that in the teacher's lounge. Absolutely.
Now, just before we get into the Orion Council, now you ended up in Sedona as well, which you're in Chicago now, are you?
No, I'm in Sedona now.
Oh, you're in Sedona now, right?
Yeah, but a story, right? Well, so after Hawaii, I realized they don't want to go back to Finland, but I still had a couple months left for my year's gap year, and decided, all right, since I have my bachelor's degree, I can always apply to any master's program anywhere in the world, being a dual citizen for Europe and America. So I'm just going to go back home, think about things. And then I started meeting these star people over the internet, and that brought me here. But I had no idea that Sedona was this popular hotspot for spiritual folks. I had no clue. I know they had some Crimson Circle stuff here with Adama Saint Germain, but I had no idea this was all the hippies want to come here.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you must have met. Well, congratulations for getting to the state, first of all, right? But you must have met a lot of people, other channelers, surely within Sedona. Now you're sort of based there.
Yeah, there's some young people who do channel on and off. There's a lot of people who are channeling the astral plane, and they don't really know that. So there are people who will say, okay, I'm channeling an archangel, and the archangel's energy may be present, but they're only able to bring through astral plane information. So there's a lot of glamour with that. This I'm in trance. Yes, you're going to be extremely rich and gorgeous, and a lot of this fluff. So the people who are contactees and the people who have been traumatized and gone through dark nights of the soul, they're kind of hard to find, but they're very well respected. So the first type of people you'll meet are the seekers, and there's nothing wrong with seeking. It's just what's the intention behind it. And there's almost an unwritten rule amongst contactees is it changes you forever. So you can pretty much tell if someone's really had contact or if someone's faking it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Those dark night of the soul people, they are rare to come across. Well, not rare, but you don't. I mean, I'm isolated where I am right now, a little bit. So I'm not going to meet anyone like that just right now. But I'd love to be around like-minded people, and I know I need that now. For yourself, being around even like-minded people. Yeah, I know that they maybe not be the as we've used that term. What was it? The dark night of the soul, as in they've gone through a load of crap to get to where they've got to be fully open and fully into the work. But it must be nice to be around like-minded people.
Yeah, that's true. Here you can be open with your beliefs, and it's not weird to say that you've seen a gray alien or extraterrestrial. Sorry, star family. People don't like that alien term.
Have you had?
And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, have I seen one?
Well, no, well, actually, I've seen one. I was going to. Sorry to interrupt you there. If you, I was going to say to you, have you had contact? I've seen a UFO in one of your videos, one that you channeled in Sedona in the outback, which I thought was incredible. And we'll link the video at the bottom of this video. But have you actually had contact? Not just channeling, but actual physical craft contact in a sense?
No, I haven't had an experience of waking up on a craft, but every other night I dream about a flying cruise ship in the sky with lots and lots of people. I'll see orbs, and I've seen sort of wobble in the dimensions, but it's mainly been a clairsentient, telepathic, teleempathic, mediumship, physical, and some sort of healing effect that works through me.
Yeah. Okay. And just I know we're a bit all over the place here, but there's so much to sort of. We're going to get back to the Orion Council, but just obviously you give readings with the Orion Council, but also do with developing as a channeler, has it also developed your psychic side as well?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that development, are you able to, you do psychic readings in the day? Is that one of the things that you do?
Yeah, it's less overwhelming to do psychic readings than the actual physical mediumship. So more of those.
I can totally, yeah.
I've not, at least 1,000 of them in the past couple of years, yeah.
Wow. And as you just said that, you find them more overwhelming to do than just be a receiver to receive teaching information.
Yeah, it's different. When you close your eyes, the energy moves over the throat and the arms. So I'm not completely full on, my entire body is not in full trance. So it would be a semi-trance, but it's definitely uncomfortable to go in and out quickly. So the environment has to be very nice and very respectful and humble and clean. Otherwise, it takes a lot of focus and meditation, I think, to give a good message.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Mm-hmm. you've made a living from what, where you're surviving from what you're doing. You're making a living, and that's got to be inspiring to anyone that's trying to live their passion. Was there struggles to begin with to get to the point where you've got to?
I took a cleaning job while writing the book, while doing psychic readings, and that was very, very humbling for me because I wasn't able to speak in English at the job. I was being called a witch at the job, and I was also having spirits trying to connect to my coworkers while vacuuming, and that sort of resulted in a panic attack when my grandfather died. And afterwards, everything changed. I started receiving help from people, more donations started coming in. So it's ultimately showing the universe, look, I'm serious about this. I'll do anything just to be of service to these messages. And it's gotten ultimately easier and easier. But yeah, it's not a walk in the park. It may look like that online, and everyone sees the good stuff, but there's been a lot of pain, but growth nonetheless.
But you're in a good place now.
Definitely not. It's the happiest I've ever been.
That's good to hear. That's really, 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 really good to hear. And because this work, I've, like I say, I've been doing this channeling as well, not on a big stage, but just developing it still. And I don't know if it's to do with channeling or not, but there are ups and downs. You're still a human being. That you're not no god. You're not after a following. You're just providing them teachings which. Probably the information's out there anyway, but they've not listened. But there are ups and downs, aren't there? Like anything.
Definitely. I'm not really sure what to say, because some people will have a regular job and they'll, especially if you're in a position of service, the spirit world will find a way to communicate through you regardless when you have a pure intention. So you may be anywhere in the world at any time and feel this compulsion or feel compelled to tell somebody something, and it seems absolutely crazy. Your logical mind thinks that's so weird. I don't know why I just want to hug this person that I just met, or I don't understand why I'm telling them to get this crystal and put it under the moonlight in a glass of water at 9 p.m., but I feel like I have to tell them this. So that's kind of what I've been helping people do, is get back to their center and just do it and think about it later.
Yeah. Now the partner that you're with as well, is he a channel, or is he a psychic, or do you have that thing in common?
He's more psychic than I am, which means his Ajna center, how should I say it? He's better at perceiving others, so creating a mind-to-mind link with others, whereas I'll be more naive to people's intentions, but I'm a great messenger for the other realms. Yeah
Okay, that's it. That's
so
interesting.
so I get fooled quite a lot, but
right
that's lessons in discernment.
That's part of your learning, is it? Yeah. Okay. That's in. Do you think that had you got with someone that was not on the same level, in a sense, do you feel that could have ever had worked for you?
I think I would have been completely miserable, and probably would not. Well, actually, I think it would have been more devastating had I held on to an old way of thinking, old way of life, and had it been my destiny to do this, I would have had more of a severe crash. And I'm glad that I didn't have children yet, and I'm glad that it was a smooth transition. But it can be hard for people who are holding on to a false reality that's ego-based.
Well, yeah. I mean, I suppose what I meant as well is that I've always been wondering about this recently, that maybe I should be looking for someone. I'm single, by the way, but I can say this. But maybe next time, my next relationship, I'll look for someone that's on the same level, because when you're not, maybe that's where I've gone wrong a bit. That actually you do need to have a few things in common. I always thought it was maybe if one's the spiritual one, in a sense, we're all spiritual, but if one's the psychic one and one's not, those relationships do work. But I don't know. It's just I see the more people I interview in this field, the more they're with someone that's generally got some sort of gift as well.
Yeah, for me, it happened sort of synchronistically, serendipitously. My first client sent me a bunch of YouTube pages to check out, and then I intuitively checked out this guy called Sirius Starseed, and it was almost an instant. It was just a feeling. Now, recently, we've decided to have an open relationship, and I found that you can have this sort of love connection with lots and lots of people, and open meaning just open communication. So it can be different for so many, because so many of us are from the same soul families or planets or whatever, and we're trying so hard to find each other, and it gets a little bit confusing with when society gives us all these rules on how to do that.
Well, that is true. Yeah. Well, if that works and that's what you're happy with, that's all that matters. We don't need to worry about what other people think. In a sense, it's what what we want. And hats off to you for trying something different as well. Because like you say, we're always told what to think and what to do, and and how to act sometimes. And when someone does something different, it's always frowned upon sometimes, isn't it?
It's definitely. From one of my great grandmothers came from a Victorian time where if you were sweating, you had to clip little cotton pads underneath your armpits. You couldn't show people you were nervous. Yeah. And I just feel that's a bit restricting. So maybe it's time to think a little differently.
I like it. Okay, well, look, okay, well, thank you for sharing the background and everything else. It's always interesting to see, where someone's come from, when doing this work. And it's, it can only give confidence to other people that are looking to do it or develop that skill as well. So thank you for sharing that with the audience. Now then, the Orion Council. Just tell us briefly about the Orion Council in a sense of where. First of all, I suppose where are they based? Where do they come from? Are they from our dimension?
No, they are not in our dimension. Our dimension is pretty dense. So if they were to come into our dimension, they wouldn't stay too long. They're transmitting from a star called Betelgeuse, which I thought was completely bollocks until I read a book called El An-Ra, where another channeler said the Council of Light is in Betelgeuse. Thanks, Solara and El An-Ra, by the way. Next, they work with beings who are non-physical. So they always say, we are multi-dimensional beings. They have the ability to work in many. Perhaps they've mastered bilocating. At the same time, I've perceived them to be on a spacecraft. So the council is ultimately a council for Orion, the constellation of Orion, because there's been these things called the Orion Wars in galactic history, and there's been the kind of naughty things have been taking place there, and that those dramas have continued to be played out here on Earth. So naturally, you'll have loving beings that want to help. And for those who say Orion is just all reptilians and, Dracos and just evil grays, no, they have light beings too. It's a very big star system, just like here on Earth.
That's really interesting. So you read that book as well, and then gave you the confirmation of the star system as well, that she channeled from, the same name.
Yeah,
you just can't make that up, can you?
Right, that's what I said. Just channel it now, think about it later, and it might sound so nuts, but that's the whole point. Then you're on point with it.
Yeah. Do you find it's a lot of trust when still doing the channeling?
It is, and it's nice that you mentioned my mom, because she's so advanced spiritually. She knows what to say, and she knows how to challenge them. She's not afraid of them. So, of course, she's going to get the best of the best info. And the people who are most naive to it and pure-hearted tend to get insane amounts of knowledge, whereas controlling, selfish people are not given anything, really.
No, they're here to learn different things, probably. And with the messages as well that always come through, and one thing that was prominent in the book as well was that the message is always from love. It's not negative.
Right, they don't tell me anything scary. It's all this positivity and loving yourself and wanting to be of service. It's amazing if people could only just trust their own intuition with it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is there any connection between the Orions and the Pleiadians in a sense?
The council, do you mean, or in general?
Well, yeah,
the Orion beings?
Well, generally, I mean, obviously, the people also channel, well, they channel many things, but Pleiadians are another group of
there are Pleiadians who went to Orion a long, long time ago. Some of them got sort of stuck there, and they were just so pure-hearted, wanting to help. And some of them work for the council, such as myself, because I know I'm not from Orion. I've spent more time in the Pleiades. And so there's Pleiadians on the council. There's so many different beings on the council. Yeah. But they've also have sort of renegade Pleiadians come here to Earth a long time ago. So there are always dissonant beings that don't follow the rules. And it's up to us to say if it's good or bad, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned in your book there's 8 of them in the actual Orion Council.
Sometimes it changes. So for quite some time they're saying, okay, there's 8 of us now. There's 12 of us now. The most has been 24 of them, and I've gotten the names. One of the leaders is called Aten, like the solar disk in Egypt. Another one that talks to me is called Emsa. She's almost the first one that will communicate, and then they have some very strange names. the Lyran ones, all their names start with the letter E. Don't know why.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Like you say, these names, because you've never heard of these names before, but that's what's coming through, which is just fantastic. Now, with the information that's in the book. What would you say was the overall topic of the book, the overall theme of the book?
Of the first one, Orion Council here?
Yes, Orion Council here, yeah.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is love, but they were saying this is a book of light, this is a book of light. So whenever we put our energy into something with a pure intention, that is what is felt. So no matter what the object is, a crystal, a book, a CD, people feel that love, and that's the whole point of it. Yeah, that's really it. So even if it's on your bookshelf, it's just sort of like a light thing just beaming there, making things nice.
One of the themes of the book as well, and I might be wrong here, but that's what I got from it, is the message of that we're all the same, that we all come from the same place, that we're all one in a sense, we're all family.
Yeah, we're all family, and we're focusing in different ways. And those of us who are opening up more and more are in this sort of training process. So they have mentioned this training officer of this, training officer of that, which sounds very militant and boot camp. But we are in training to become these ascended light beings, light people, rainbow people that have abilities. And if we can just love ourselves and focus a little better, things would be a bit easier. And when you open your energy fields, I've noticed a lot of people don't know what to do. So they come to me and say, oh, Christa, I can do this, and I can channel them. And people respond differently to channeling. Some people are divas. Some people are scared. Some people are knowledge thirsty, hungry, like in rap music. I'm hungry for it. So that's why Orion Council they say it's all about focus and training, and remembering that it is a process. There's cycles to things, and where some of us just need to slow down a bit, others need a bit more willpower. So whenever it's a one-on-one with them, they'll connect to your energy. But in general, for humanity, changes are taking place, and we have to step into our power. We have to reawaken the cosmic self. So people call it the higher self. I like to call it the cosmic self, because that's who we really are. A lot of us are star people, extraterrestrials. We've spent tons of time on other planets, and our personalities are so much more than archetypal, four-dimensional themes from the Middle Ages. It's quite funny when you start to talk in a language to somebody, like language, and no one knows what you mean. They call it speaking in tongues, but could you imagine if someone else started to understand what you were saying and understand your symbols? It's quite amazing. A lot of people can.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's an important part actually. Because Ascension is well, it's in the book quite a bit. There's a lot of talk about Ascension in this book, in the sense where you came here so that with the intention to raise the vibration of the planet, and they talk about this a lot as being a really important time right now. But there are so many of us asleep, aren't they? And I think that's potentially. Well, do you think that's where they're supposed to be? That they're the majority of people, in a sense, are maybe meant to be asleep or not aware of, a greater reality, because they're having an experience that their soul needs, whatever that experience is, and for the people around them as well.
Sure. I'd be interested to see how many people want to remain in a sort of a mind prison, but when you look at the flower of life, it can either be a prism or a prison. So it's all really perspective. I think that's what these great teachers like the Buddha and Lao Tzu have been teaching. So when you become they call it self-realized. That's another term they've been using. A self-realized being behaves a little bit differently. You don't smack animals around, and you don't kick your kids and steal. So there's a way to behave in order to have contact, and I believe them to be less warlike than a lot of people here. But then again, that's just my perspective. I'm someone who really desires to help, and then
you are.
Just for a while, and then I'll go back to my other plans.
Yeah, no, you are. I think for you, being of service is really, key to what you're doing.
Right. It just feels nice. Just like when you're giving Reiki to somebody else, the energy flows through, you receive it as well. So everybody wins. It's like there's enough for everybody.
You mentioned Edgar Cayce before, and that was something that he used to say quite a bit in the readings that he gave people, and in general, I think as well. That he, being of service was key to what we come down here to do as well. So it's everywhere, that being of service part. And what's your opinion as well on actually money from being of service? Because there's people in this field that still fear making not making exuberant amounts, because I don't think spiritual work does that, but actually just for it to provide for you as well.
So yeah, I say so a lot. Anyway, let me answer that question. Money, I've found to be very much tied to our creative self-expression, sexuality, the lower chakras, as they call it. So there is a science to this whole money thing. And yes, money is energy. It's sort of like learning to ride your bicycle, because there are people who you can say are good business people. They're very intuitive, these business people. They sort of know when to strike, because the iron is hot. It's kind of like that with this intuitive money, asking for money and receiving. There's times when you just feel like you need to help somebody before, like I said, these compulsions. That's that whole channeling the feminine energy. You're receiving input from a higher dimension or the collective field. So we're trained to sort of run around and be these selfless, like poverty thinkers, because it's more godly to suffer, and it's godly to live in rags. And people say, I want this for my learning. I chose this. But fine. Okay, if you want to do that in this life, I'm not going to argue with you. But if you've done that for the past 1,000 incarnations, I just want to offer an alternative. Dolores Cannon says we're not here to convince anybody, but I would rather live in a garden full of crystals and flowers and abundance than in a compost. And money is just a way of explaining to people, I will do this for this. So I'll trade you this crystal for that loaf of bread. We're not there yet. So I think it's okay to transition from money to that in the future. It's
like a bartering system. Yeah.
It's getting there. We won't need money forever. That's for sure.
No, well, I'm sure there must be a better way. I'm sure there is. And you just mentioned there as well, Dolores Cannon. Was she a bit of an influence for you? Was she?
Huge. Her books are like tears just of remembering when she said, some of you I've seen her live. I've seen her dancing.
Yeah.
I've seen her dancing at a dinner table at a convention. And when she says, some of you volunteered to help, that's when the tears came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to see her. Yeah, because she passed away a couple of years back. But yeah, no, her work will always live on. Do you know what I mean? It will always live on, and she helped a lot of people, including yourself, which is fantastic. I got to meet her as well. She was a really nice person, and you also mentioned there as well, in a sense that, I suppose you mentioned in the channeling, it mentions that we are creators, that that we can create with intention the life that we want, in a sense.
Yeah, they always say that you are a creator, and that's usually when one of the really loving energy healer types from the council comes in. So you do have your technical scientific ones, and then they'll sort of fumble about if someone asks a question and then ask the opposite polarity of that question. They switch according to who needs to answer, so they're learning from this process as well, and they have the utmost respect for us as we're feeling that, oh my goodness, they're in another dimension, they have all this technology, they're so smart, but they're learning from our emotional reactions. Like Dolores Cannon said, just peanut butter and jelly, what is that? They ask about these things as well. The Pleiadians especially, some of the Pleiadian scientists that have come in, they are interested in collecting life forms like wood chips and preserving them on their spacecraft. Other angelic beings are more about healing and sending you love and just relax into peace. So the Pleiadians have also talked about peace ambassadors. A lot of us are just here to just be peaceful in my energy field. They do wonder though, why do we tend to collect little objects a lot? Like trading cards. Some of them find that fascinating.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? They're actually getting something out of helping us. It's not just being of service for them. It's more than that, isn't it? Because it's for them as well. It's almost like they're testing their truth, in a sense, or their truth is their truth. But I don't think, as I've read in this book, that it has to be our truth. I think what they probably would say, tell me if I'm wrong, is you've got to come up with the truth yourself, whatever works for you. But this is our truth.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, let's say you have a lover that you just completely adore, and one day they just say something to you and it just pisses you off. If it's an unconditionally loving state, are you going to sit there and take it, or are you going to unconditionally love yourself and walk away? The same for if the reverse was true. So, whereas they'll help us remember our own wisdom and our own experience, they're also there to sort of just hold us and say, it's okay, we love you if you feel like no one else does. And it's almost like a vibrational matching that's taking place, perhaps.
Yeah, and you talk about light beings that you channeled. I mean, I hope I've got this right, that you channeled light beings in this book?
Some light beings have come through, which is so strange. There's one angel called Tryon, Tryon, which I found later in Asha Nadine's material, the Tryon field, energy field, Meahe field. They've used terms about the Duat, Egyptian terms I've had to look up. A lot of angels speak in these archaic terms. They talk about intrinsic data, and they can really fascinate, and it can help. Why I tell other channelers, I say, hey, what book are you reading? Are you engaging? Are you studying? Because the more you study, the more of your database or Akashic they can access through you to help someone else.
That's an interesting point. That's a really interesting point. That yeah, that what you're saying there, if I've got that right, is the more that you know, the more that they're able to come through, because you've got a foundational knowledge there, in a sense that you've got something to base it upon. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. I've heard that before from some people. Now, but I'm guessing some channelers that I've spoken to, they've said that when they started to channel, they moved away from reading any more material, just so that they could test it out in a sense, and know that it was coming from
That was pure.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, years gone, they would then get back into other textbooks and everything else. But yeah, that's an interesting point you make there. And with these light beings, would you say that they were from a much higher dimension than where the Orion Council is from?
The Elohim, I'm still trying to figure out who exactly they are. They're just like this golden light beings. They may be part extraterrestrial, but they definitely seem to have more advancements in energy. And those channels who don't have to study and can just give knowledge, I would honestly say they're more advanced than me, because I certainly have not been able to pull in raw material level knowledge of the law of Wum. And yeah, these channels need to definitely just eat well, take care of their bodies, and relax and enjoy life. So the higher the energy goes, the greater the responsibility, I say.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at some of these channels like Bashir that have brought through technical data as well, and stuff like that. You're like, well, that's kind of scary, because you'd be thinking, this logical part of me would be getting in the way and disturbing the information. I think, because I'm thinking, well, that's just a load of rubbish. What am I talking about? But you in channeling, you really have to, I'll just say this about channeling as well. From one of our, you can come out of it at any time. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're doing it because it's worthy of doing, because the teaching knowledge that's coming through that is really worthy of helping people. But I think sometimes I do block it. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you blocked the information coming through, because you're, I suppose, well, when you were new to it. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's been lots of lessons in learning to close down the energy field, which I could get to more in detail, which is why I say take good care of your body, because a lot of people are channeling, they just don't see the spirits working with them. So even with people who'd say are unconscious, they're still working with spirits. And it's the same way here on Earth. Like if you have a deceased relative who is an alcoholic, maybe you're not going to take advice from them even in their spirit form. And so some say this is a higher sort of spirit guide versus a lower guide. It's just, I'm not going to ask a 3-year-old how to drive a Maserati, because he just doesn't know, even though he might be a fun spirit to play with. And it's about knowing yourself. So as you know yourself, you know the energy that you're interacting with. So having a name and a reference point makes it so much easier to say, okay, I'm going to call up the Moore Show because I want to have an intelligent discussion today. I'm not going to watch some reality TV show. You're more conscious and responsible. Knowledge is power.
Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of the trashy shows sometimes just to be entertained. You know what I mean? Because I think we all need entertainment, no matter in what form. But yeah, I know what you mean. As you sort of grow spiritually, you do look at things and want things differently. I've noticed that as well. I don't know about growth. Maybe you just become more awake, more aware.
Aware, right? And it's same. Just like there's this health revolution going on. People say, hey, don't put that toxic in your body. It's this and this and this and that. And then you'll have people saying, well, I create my own reality, so I'm not going to do that. And then you get into a full-blown argument over who's more conscious. Well, but I say follow your feelings.
Yeah. I mean, even someone like Edgar Cayce, who was one of the world's most famous receivers, in a sense, back in his day, and still is in some respect. He was a chain smoker. You
Was
know,
he?
yes, he was. Yes, he was definitely. And yeah, I think he just enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? I was chain smoking, and I, when the channeling happened, eventually it just all stopped, and I just, I'm addicted to the gym now. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think the whole thing shifts, doesn't it? Sometimes when, if you're ready for it, if this is what you want, if there's a bit more self-love there, because I think that self-love's an important aspect of your book as well.
Yes, they is an overall energy. I would say the Orion Council. I agree with Diana Cooper. She's one of my favorite spiritual teachers. That they're wisdom teachers. They teach wisdom. So other teachers are compassion teachers, joy teachers, yoga teachers. Orion Council they have a lot of wisdom because they've seen all these wars, so they're great for asking about conflict resolution. And I was doing that at 11 years old. I wanted to, out of my own will, help kids who were arguing in the playground. And do you know the counselor's name was Mr. Abraham?
Was that right?
And he had a long beard. Yeah, he said, "He sit here. You've got little boy blue and little boy red, and they have an argument." And I would. Just sitting there and hearing both sides of the conflict is just so healing. And maybe it's like being a mommy Mary in some ways. Her energy is very strongly. So whenever people get scared, okay, these are amphibious extraterrestrials, I'll tell them, especially people with a Catholic upbringing, look, Mother Mary works with them too. And they go, oh, thank you, Santa Maria, So it's all good.
Where would you like to see yourself going in the next few years? I mean, you've developed yourself pretty well, I would say. You've been doing this for a bit now, and you're confident. Your bubbly attitude. Where would you like to? Are you just going to go with the flow, or are you looking for something bigger, like a bigger platform?
Yes, I am looking for a bigger platform. I found in these live demos, just the couple I've done, just like myself, when I'm channeling, the Orion Council has the audience laughing. And it's, I've recently learned, and I don't want to really put this on the label, the Orion Council, as this, but I found laughing to be very, very sexual. And that's ultimately healing for so many people, because you have the joy Buddha, and children laugh all the time. Because they're in a pure state of joy. But when you're a child and you're pure and you're joyful, you're very open. So that can result, your feelings tend to get hurt a little easily. You open yourself and reveal yourself. So these live demos really require a safe environment with some bodyguards. And that's what I would like, a couple bodyguards in the audience to make everyone laugh.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That's the kind of feeling I got for you as well, that you'd want to expand it, definitely, when the right opportunity comes along. Yeah, I could see you doing that. Okay. Well, we're getting to the end of the interview right now. I would say, we're almost time out. What would you say then, if you could sum up sort of the most important message of your work so far?
Well, something just came to mind, if you don't mind me sharing that.
Please.
Because I have dropped a couple hints about sexuality in this interview, which can be quite the embarrassment to those of us who have been conditioned by religion for many hundreds of lives. And the reason it's okay to laugh, be joyful, and be sexual is because these are means of opening your channel. And when you open your channel, you can connect to the hybrid children. And millennials such as myself, who are not having kids and are confused whether or not we should because of religion, well, feel better about yourself, because you may have been part of the hybrid program where an entire species has been preserved with your DNA. And these hybrid kids can talk to us when it's safe for them to do it. So if anything, we have to create a world using our wisdom, being loving, having fun, be able to create a world where we have contact with these little children who are extremely sensitive and advanced. And they're the answer to everything.
That's interesting. That I had Barbara Lamb and a gentleman called Miguel on a few weeks ago. That they've just brought a book out, Meet the Hybrids, and it was all about this subject where they got to interview. I'm going to probably get this wrong, but say about 10 to 12 hybrids, might be a bit less, but actual people who with gifts like what you have. And other types of gifts, they remembered that they were hybrids, and that they've come here, to help the Earth, in the form of service to whatever that may be, psychic services or channeling, whatever it may be. And it was really fascinating because Barbara Lamb, she's really researched this stuff along with Miguel, and it's just resonates exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah, because these kids can, like in the Stan Romanek. I mean, I've heard of Barbara Lamb. I wish she could regress me or something, because I'm sure there's so much more that needs to be known. And these children, they can make things grow in an instant. It's like the Buddha effect. And I think it's great if a bunch of us adults can have a Buddha effect, but if the kids can do it, wow, this place is going to get really cool. It's going to be like Tomorrowland, and I can't wait.
I like Tomorrowland. It's a great film.
Not shabby.
Yeah. My channeling tells me that I'm meant to be bringing people together. I'm going to build a network in the future that's going to bring a lot of channelers together under one roof, in a sense, where all the messages are going to come through. They're just a sort of a spiritual TV channel, but I think it was maybe for channelers. That's what it said. I like the idea of more of a spiritual news network, but I have been thinking these past few days, I wonder, it did say about a spirit, a channeling network, but it's that's probably a bit of a way off just yet, but I think that's what I'm going to work on in the future, is to bring us together in a sense.
Yeah, that's the young people are most certainly seeking communities of like minds where they can express their gifts and bring, I'm the radio show host and I'm the baker. The Orion Council has been giving me these number codes, which are either star constellations people come from or acts of Congress. And in several instances, these acts of Congress are about Native American people acquiring land. So there's a huge potential in the future for us to live in perhaps smaller conscious communities where everyone will know what their mastery is, and we won't be so scattered and scared of each other. And I think if you just continue following your passion, it might take a little while. It's not overnight, but it's definitely worth it. And
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry about this. I almost missed this book out. Galactic Symbols from the Ninth Dimension, Gatekeeper Time Codes. Just very briefly, just explain that to the audience, what this book's about.
In 2013, I received direct telepathic information. So rather than laying down flat, going into trance and someone asking me about their life purpose, etc., I was told, draw a triangle, draw a circle within a circle, draw 3 lines horizontal, 3 vertical. And this was a very tedious process for somebody who enjoys abstract urban street art, graffiti, and rainbows. These were black and white little lines of nonsense. But as I explained to the world through crowdfunding, look, I have this stuff. Do you guys want me to write a book? I raised a couple $1,000s in support, and people say, I feel these symbols. Oh my God, my chakras light up. I know what this is, or I'm starting to have spaceship dreams now. These symbols activated me. And it's just mind-blowing how what you think about your service is nothing compared to the effects that it's having on those people who needed to hear that.
Isn't that incredible? Exactly. Yeah. And isn't it so humbling when that comes, from doing this book, you've then got that confirmation from people telling you that.
It is the best feeling in the world, just knowing that you help somebody live another day, or you help somebody get out of a situation that was like diminishing their spirit,
Yeah.
It's so hard to see. I believe that in the afterlife we see all of the great things we've done, but now that we're awake, we can really have full on like a file sharing abilities with each other. It's just going to be this huge domain of
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you get mentored by anyone in the sense? I mean, if I know you can speak to the council at any time, are they there to help you as well, or do you find it's better if you go seek help from someone else that you're in tune with that can give you a reading to help you as well sometimes when you need it?
I've been offered by people. I've had people come to me to say they need to train me, and this might sound like such a diva statement, but I don't feel like I need to be trained into channeling because it happened as if I've done this in so many past lives.
Exactly.
I
think
but
you're right there.
nonetheless, I need a chiropractor. I need someone to make me grime hip hop beats, and I need somebody to help me clean the house every now and then.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some people that might offer to do that. Yeah, that they're all really these are things that we need to do. Yeah, so you like you said, I completely agree with you there. I think if you you are either a channeler or you're not. I think I know they do courses to help people to develop that side, and that's fair enough because it's of help. But I think deep down that you've done it, so that's it. You've received the information. All you can do is build on top of that.
Truly, because I didn't take a class to do it, but I took psychic ability classes and spirit mediumship classes, which were not trance mediumship. They were mind-to-mind links, proving life after death, and more of developing intuition. So it would be amazing to know how to do teach trance channeling. I'd probably be a millionaire overnight if I knew how to do that, but for now, I have to honestly say I don't know how it works.
No, I don't. I've no idea neither. It sounds interesting. The idea behind it. Yeah. Okay. Well, what would you say? Okay, what would you say then is that possibly one of the most important messages? We've asked that one of the most important messages of your work, haven't we? Or have we? I can't remember.
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest messages that's come through me, because I've had to learn it, is self-love. And even for those of us who think that we're good people, we love ourselves, we pay our bills, we can love ourselves a little bit more every day. So when things get a little rough, just do something nice for yourself or someone else and see how you feel. Because loving yourself means helping others, but helping others also means helping yourself. And I feel that you're probably a better person to say this because you're coming with the oneness energy. So maybe we're just going to have to breathe together and just be, because my information's been pretty technical and pretty I would say like spiritual boot camp more so than just relaxing into it.
Yeah, I can emphasize with the spiritual boot camp because that's exactly what it's been like for me. For a long time. So, and I remember getting a reading from someone that did past life readings, and he always did say to me, this is boot camp for you. And I was like, no, it's not. That'd be daft. I'm not going down that road. But yeah, never say never. Yeah, it is a bit like that, definitely.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you never know why you are doing what you're doing, but you most certainly can be assured that it's for a reason.
Yeah, and I think that emanates with yourself as well. Just to go back to that, is of the being of service part now, which is and everything else that you do as well. Now, going into what you do with the readings, how can people book a reading with yourself?
They can go to my website if they choose to and feel inclined to. It's KristaRaisa.com, Raisa. and that's where I'm doing Skype readings now, MP3 recordings, and I will be offering trance channeling sessions soon enough, but for now I'm doing them for free on YouTube every month.
Oh yes, we'll link on the screen now, and we'll do your YouTube channel as well, because that's important. Yes. So and if is there a name that they can type into to Google, to YouTube to get your channel? Is it?
Yeah, most people type in "Stay Curly," because I've began YouTube promoting natural hair care for women of color, so that's why my name was Stay Curly, and Orion is the name of the council. So Stay Curly Orion, you'll find me.
Okay, well, we'll put that up as well. So, well, I'd just like to say, Krista Raisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's awesome talking with you.
Thank you. Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on our past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.co.uk, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.